Hey there, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take apart the 6R140's valve body. This is out of a 2019 F450 diesel 6.7, and this is the same transmission that was featured in my teardown inspection video where the forward clutch pack was welded. So prior to that there were no drivability symptoms, but we are prepared in the event we need to either install corrective valving or make other other repairs or what have you. We have the Sonic zip kit and essential valve bodies oversized valve kit standing by. So I want to get this thing apart, and then we'll cover a couple of things including solenoid banding and whatnot. I'm not going to get into great detail, as I will do a wholly separate video that kind of dives deep into that. But if you want a little bit more treatment than I'm going to give it here, just check out my 6R80. I think it's 6R80 valve body, either part 1 or part 2. I'm not sure which exactly. It was filmed a while ago, but it covers the banding and whatnot, and gets into the details as far as what that all means and how it impacts the transmission and ultimately what you do with the valve body. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We'll take all the bolts out, separate the two halves, and then get all the valves out. Alright, first things first is the wiring harness. I'm actually just going to leave it plugged in for now, and then once we go to take the solenoids off, I'll remove it then. So I already loosened this bolt during the teardown inspection video, so that's why it's loose, but all these bolts are 8mm. Now Sonic's has a full set of instructions on their website for their zip kit, which you can download in a PDF format if you'd like. That'll give you all of this kind of information and more, and walk you through the process of installing your zip kit in its entirety. So that's what we're going to do. This thing has 140,000 miles or so on it. Normally these transmissions don't fail, at least not at that mileage, but an unusual circumstance brought this one in, so. Okay. All of the other spaces that you see, the bolt locations where there's no bolt, are just simply the valve body assembly to case bolts. That's where they go. Okay, and that's that last row. And just comparing these, they are actually all the exact same length, which is a good thing because it makes things a hell of a lot easier on putback. So yeah, all the same length as far as these top side bolts are concerned. So again, I guess I'm a liar. I'll flash that particular image that Sonic's has on their website on the screen so you know exactly what I'm referring to, and I probably have already done it. So I'll just keep it up on the screen, during this particular segment. Alright, so we have pry points on this thing. So let's see, we got pry point here, pry point over here, and we got some other kind of pry points. So all you're going to do is just pry up. Until you're free of the little alignment pins. That's a nasty fluid. Alright, I'm going to set that half over there. So the half that's kind of sitting up on the little catch pan here is the lower valve body, and then the half that's sitting on the tray is going to be the upper valve body, and that's what faces the case. Alright, so we have two Torx 30 bolts here. Wrong socket. Okay, and then this is going to be the location bring this back. Okay, that's your accumulator, little accumulator. And it's going to stay in there for now. Same length. Alright, spacer plate just comes off. These are of the bonded variety, meaning the plate and the gasket surfaces are one and the same. I don't recommend you reuse your spacer plate. So I order these from Ford directly. The hard part supplier here does not have does not have these in stock. They can't get them. But if you were in a jam and you had no drivability symptoms that would indicate that the plate is excessively worn, and the plate itself, after you wipe it down, is in very good to excellent shape. There's no tears in it, no rips, no nothing. Everything is, fine and dandy, so to speak. Then you can reuse it. Here's going to be your identification number down here. See if I can get that close enough to where you can see it. It says HC3P72490DA. Ford continuously updates parts like this, so if you purchase a replacement, you want to have the last 8 digits of your VIN number so you can give that to the parts guy at the Ford dealership, and they will get you the correct plate. And it may have a different number than the plate that came out of here. No big deal. Okay, if they tell you that's the plate that is now to be used, then that's what you run. Alright, let me see if I can get this close so we can see check balls. Drain some of this fluid out. You got a check ball here, and a check ball here. And according to Sonics, check ball number 3, the location can actually vary from valve body to valve body based on whatever vintage and application that you're working with. Alright, and then right here is going to be your 2/6 clutch feed. So just make note of where it is. And that's where it goes. I mean, you really can't miss it. Let's just say you put it in the wrong spot. I mean, it just takes an O-ring and you maybe stick it here by accident. It's not going to line up when you go to bolt it back to the case. So you just take it out and you put it in the right place. That's it. I just want to get as much of this fluid out as I can. And there goes the 2 check balls. So here, and then you got a third one right there. So 6R80s have more check balls than these. 6R60s, 75s, 80s, and 100s. So, and then I got all my tube seals and other whatnot on the plate, or on the tray rather. I'm gonna just put all this crap in this little can. These are cooler line seals. And there's one other seal in there. Maybe it's a duplicate I had. I have another 6R140 core that I tore down just before I tore down this one because I was anticipating needing some hard parts. That one is out of a gas application, a 6.2 of some sort. There's only 2 engines, to my knowledge, that these transmissions actually went in behind, and that's the 6.7 diesels and the 6.2 gas engines, both V8s. All right, so now what I'm going to do is get this thing out of the way. All right, I'm going to start taking some valves out, and I'm not going to, you know, spend a whole lot of time going over this, by the way, has nothing to do with this valve body. This is actually from a 6L90. I had forgotten where I'd put the little roll pin, or, you know, retention pin for the boost and pressure regulator valve assembly in the pump. Well, I just found it. I mean, I have others, but I had to put another one in. Anyway, that little pin or you know, retainer has nothing to do with these valve bodies, or this valve body. Okay, so here's your valve body seals. These come in the kit as well. And there's a bigger one you saw on the tray earlier that went right here. And these alignment dowels, I believe, stay in there. Yep. Okay, so we have 2 valve trains right here. They have to come out. And you have another 5 on this side. So we're going to do this side first. Alright, they all have the same style of retainer except for this one. This has kind of a T-shaped retainer. And like I said, I will flash on the screen the valve trains and, you know, their names and IDs and all that good stuff. I don't have them memorized, so I don't feel like just looking them up and, you know, fumbling around with the correct designations for each one of them. That gets to be a pain in the ass. Alright, so first valve train out is going to be over here, and then we'll do this one. Okay, when you're taking these valves out, kind of feel for any drag, anything unusual, any binding, any, you know, otherwise problems on these things as they're being removed from the bores. This one doesn't want to come out. They're under spring tension. You can kind of just push on them. Sometimes they'll just pop out, but sometimes you need to kind of force them out. There we go. So this wasn't bound up until it came time to approach the mouth of the bore, and now it's like cocked sideways. So just be aware of that. It can happen. There we go. I'm just trying not to have these things fly across the room, so that's why I'm being real deliberate with it. So you have your little shuttle valve. Goes in here like this. In fact, let me see if I can get this in a way that it's a little bit better presenting to you. Yeah, I think that should work. Okay. Alright. Alright, there are no you know, midpoint retainers. Like sometimes there'll be a midpoint retainer, and, you know, half the valves or components will be in front of it, the other half will be behind it. And then just be prepared to have a whole bunch of different picks and other tools to get this stuff out. It's like any other valve body, no different really. This is one long valve. Okay, that felt nice and smooth. Like I said, the only thing that was hanging up a little bit was the end plug, and I think that was primarily due to the fact that it was just trying to cross the threshold and it wasn't having a good time of it. Alright, nasty fluid. Alright, now you have kind of your upside down U-shaped retainer. The easiest way to get these out is take a 90-degree pick like this and some pliers, and then just kind of pull on it and then have the spring come out. I like to do it like this because the spring don't go flying. It comes, you know, onto the pick. And that's true of any valve body. Okay, fluid will create kind of a suction type effect, preventing valves from just coming out even when you turn the whole assembly upside down. So that itself is not a sign of drag, so you just want to feel it coming out, and that felt nice and smooth. Alright, so those are the 2 valves on this side. So now I'm going to lay the other 5 valve trains out on this side, and I'm going to actually flip this paper towel around so that it's obvious that they're on the other side. It's just easier for me to do it that way. Okay, just checking to make sure that you're in the shot, because when I first started doing YouTube, I literally filmed entire rebuild series where I was in the way something like 70% of the time, and that's just horrible. Alright, so we're going to start on this side here. I'm going to lay the valves out like this because that's how they're going to go back in. So this is just as much of a reference for me as it is for you guys. Same deal, we got a sleeve and a plug. I guess it's a plug, not a sleeve. Alright. Yeah, I think in the Sonic's zip kit there are O-ring plugs. Sorry about that. There are O-ring plugs that you can install as plugs like this. These aluminum plugs, they tend to wear out over time. And as a result, you get fluid blow by and loss of pressure in each of these valve trains. This one's stubborn. Man, that's really in there. There we go. Sometimes they're stuck like that too. And then they get stuck on the glove. Okay, these two are very similar looking. I imagine this third one might also be along the same lines, very similar. Okay, that one's a lot more cooperative. If you get drag, then what you'll want to do is take some bench buddies and polish the bore. You'll do that. You can do it before you put it in the hot tank. If you're going to do it beforehand, spray brake cleaner, get the bore reasonably clean, and then put WD-40 in it. Spray WD-40 on the bench buddy itself, and then, you know, spend maybe, I don't know, 15 seconds or so, and then, you know, test the valve again and see if it's, you know, see if it still has drag or if it's fitting any better. It should be nice and smooth. Okay, so we just got one more valve train. These bores are otherwise empty. Nothing in there. Just feed conduits. Offset that one to indicate it's over here by itself. Okay. All right. So the upper valve body has been relieved of all of its valves. So we're going to take it away to the hot tank and get a bath. All right, let's get this out of the way. All right, now we'll bring back the lower valve body. Stick that plate over there. All right, so lower valve body with entire harness. So I will do a separate video, as mentioned, on harness and solenoids and other whatnot. You know, how to kind of test and evaluate, how to monitor for drivability symptoms and problems, things of that nature. Not going to discuss too much of that now. This is just, the primary purpose of this video is really just to show you how to get the valve body assemblies emptied and all apart and whatnot. Alright, so here are your variable force solenoids. All of these solenoids are of band 4 except for one. I think it's this one here is band 3. And then you have your high and your low band. So let me flip this thing back over and I'll show you where you can identify the band numbers, locating them so that you know what you're working with. Alright, I'm hoping you can see this, but there's going to be band numbers on each of these solenoids here. Okay, let me see if I can get this into to an angle where you could see the band number. Alright, so it's going to be right here. So here's the band 3 solenoid, here's band 4, band 4, band 4, band 4, band 4, and band 4. Alright, now these are high and low band solenoids. So how you can tell is the snout color. So you have either black or very dark brown, and then you have tan. That will indicate to you you know, high or low band. So when you go and order your solenoids from Ford or whomever, you're going to want to make sure you specify what bands you need and what color the snout is on each solenoid. So in this case I got 6 band 4 solenoids. 3 of them are tan, the other 3 are either black or very dark brown, and that's what I've told the the hard part supplier so that they can order the correct solenoids from Ford. You can order them from Ford as well. I order them from my hard part supplier because they can actually get them a little bit quicker than Ford themselves. If you order direct from Ford, you're waiting an extra I want to say 2 or 3 days compared to TranStar distributor. So if you have a TranStar distributor in your area, they'll be able to get all this kind of stuff. All right. Let's go ahead and remove the harness now. Okay, just take note of the arrangement. So all you're going to do is just pull up and tab just come right out. I do not reuse any electronic or electrical components on any transmission unless we're doing some kind of refresh or just a basic repair, and I don't do those all that often. And it looks like this one fell apart, and this is kind of why. These things will eventually get brittle and they kind of deteriorate, and someone clumsy like me comes along, they will break apart when you try and service them. Alright, so here is your transmission fluid temperature switch. So it has tabs on the underside, so what you'll need to do is just rotate it back. That, and then it comes right out just like that. All right, let me change battery and then we'll get the valves out. All right, so new battery in. Now it's time to proceed with the lower valve body. So first thing I want to do is just take out the manual valve. So just get this E-clip off, and then I'm going to flip it over because I want to disassemble everything and keep everything in the order based on reassembly with the worm tracks facing up. So I'm going to put this over here. Oops. Make sure you're again in the frame. And then I think this is the main pressure regulator valve. So these are sometimes subject to wear, and the kits have, various valve body kits out there have updated or improved versions of these valves. So just be careful. As you can see, it was under some spring tension. Oh, come on. None of that. Yeah, that's not going to work because of the way the table is. It's got a little bit of drag coming out. So worst case, we just polish this bore and maybe put this valve back in. I don't need to use a corrective valve unless I have to. But this is definitely coming out with some drag. Could be just a lot of the grit and the blood just, up in there as a result of that forward clutch failure and, welding itself together and whatnot. So anything's possible. All right, there's a spring on the immediate underside of this thing, of this retainer. So So we're going to do kind of likewise we did with the other one. Anytime I have a spring, I want to have my pick kind of inside the coil so the spring flies out, no big deal. And there is a valve. Yeah, that one's stuck in there. Yeah, look at all that drag. I mean, taking considerable effort to get this thing out of the bore. Yeah, that's dragging bad. So here and here, so far, need bore polish. Alright, so we have a mid valve train retainer. It's going to be right here, and it's under spring tension. So there's nothing up in here, nothing retaining wise in these worm tracks. It's right here. So put a little bit of tension and then we'll try to get up on there and yank it out. Alright, and then in the aft section you have another anodized valve. And a spring. Alright, this valve's not wanting to align with the bore. Alright, so that's the pressure regulator valve side of the lower valve body. Alright, so I'm going to have to move this away. Alright. So now we have a solenoid complex, or a row of solenoids, followed by their respective valves. Alright, you have your retention plate. Should be Torx 30. Okay, note. See the bend in each of the retainers, if you will, the retaining formations. They face you. You know, the bend is out toward you. Here's a closer look at the band, or band ID number. If you can see that, number 4. So if we try to put this into here, it won't fit. Okay, these brown snouts are physically wider than the dark colored snouts. And they're either black or very, very dark brown. I can't really, I guess, yeah, actually, I think they're dark brown. Now that I have a little bit better view of them. Okay, I'm actually going to leave these on here because what I really should have done is flip this over before I took all those out. I mean, no matter. I'm just going to make a record real quick. So BN4, so on the manual valve side, starting with the opposite side, we have BN4 dark brown, BN4 tan, BN4 tan, BN4 dark brown. This is BN3, goes right there. BN4 dark brown and BN4 tan. So BN4 tan is on the manual valve side of the valve body. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so in here you're going to have retainers. So they're all this kind of U-shaped clip design. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total valve trains. And then you're going to have an accumulator here, an accumulator here. Okay, the accumulator configuration, from what I understand, is going to be ever so slightly different in differing valve bodies. So I'll get them out last. So there's going to be bore plugs that the zip kit will have O-ring versions of. So just keep that in mind. And then central valve bodies with their valve kit also provides you bore plugs. So all you really have to do is lift up on this just a little bit. And you see this gap here, the mouth, if you will, that faces down into the casting from this point of view. Okay, these plugs can get worn and leak fluid by, causing loss of pressure in the circuit. That creates a myriad of drivability issues and wear inside the the transmission, the applied elements and such. So that's why we like to install a hydraulic correction kit in all of these valve trains. Okay, that came from there, and it looks like an accumulator fell out as well. Okay, so there's, I guess, 3 of them. In one of my previous update videos, I mentioned that I would no longer be filming and posting valve body disassembly assembly videos because most people don't watch them. While the fact that most people don't watch these compared to like teardown inspection and even the reassembly series videos, I've decided to go back on my word because I still think that there's some value in posting these, because there's going to be some folks that can leverage them, and if it helps even just you know, a very small percentage of folks, hell, even just one person solve a problem, or you know, resolve an issue that they're having that's related to the valve body, then it's worth it for me to post them. There's a spring in here. Alright, whatever you do, don't get these springs mixed up. Okay, there's nothing here. There's, in this bore here, there's no valve. Okay, notice you have no keeper, or no place for a keeper as well. So far so good with this valve body. I mean, all the valves are coming out. A couple were dragging a little bit, so you know, so far just two valve trains that are going to need some sort of bore polishing. Alright, so we got 1, 2. Let's space this out. So we got 3, 4, 5 left. This one's under fairly considerable spring tension. And it just let go as I got that screwdriver in there. And same with this one. Alright, save for the accumulators, the valve body's empty. So there's a little plunger and then a sleeve. That's how they're all designed. And these will wear out over time because, you know, that little rubber plunger there just simply wears. Okay, I should have been taking my pick and sticking it right here to force each of these two out. Or at least to get them to protrude a little bit so I can grab on them. Alright, Sonics will have accumulator pistons. I think if they're like the 6R80s, they'll be with springs. And just eyeball the casting, make sure everything is out of it. Okay, so if you want to cross-reference your valve body casting, here's the rough forging number here. This is going to be FC3P. And then if you want to know year of production, it's going to be in this location. This is 2019. And for some years, these transmissions, this year of production does not correlate to the model year. So year of production, I think, is usually one less, 1 year prior than the model year. So if that was the case with this valve body and vehicle, this 2019 casting indicator would actually mean the model year of the vehicle was 2020. But in this case, this particular vehicle with this particular valve body, the casting indicates year production of 2019, and the model year for this vehicle is also 2019, so they align. Alright, let me see if I can change the camera angle. You get a bird's eye view of all the valve trains and all the solenoids, and then that'll be it. Alright, so here's how they're all laid out. I mean, I know it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to orient these relative to the castings themselves, but this is the layout. So if you're working on one of these units, especially if it's a diesel and a late model like this one, you know, I think 2015 and up, or maybe 2017 and up, I'm not entirely sure, but I will have flashed all of the different changeover years and the changes onto the screen by now. So you have that information already by time you make it to the end here. Alright, so stay tuned for part 2. In part 2 we'll go ahead and reassemble everything and then test it on the Sonics vacuum test machine, and then based on what we find, you know, we'll have to maybe swap valves out or do whatever. I'm going to install the Sonic zip kit. Usually I don't. Usually I'll install all of the stock parts back in regardless, but in the interest of time, because I don't want to say I'm under the gun with this, but I don't want to belabor it, I'm just going to install the zip kit straight away, and we'll test it with the kit installed. And then if it still needs valves, if I have a gently oversized valve in my central valve bodies kit, then we'll install that. If not, if it's real bad, then he's going to need a valve body. Alright, thanks for watching.